Hello. The other night, myself and Munir were on the Tennyson Transex, and we were on our way back. It was roughly about 8 o'clock in the evening, and Munir pointed out a large web to me. It was about 50 centimetres diameter. So I went up to have a look at it, and there was a nice looking orb weaver in the centre of it, eating a bit of prey. And I was just umming and ahhing whether I was going to capture it or not when I noticed a queen ant had fallen into the top of it. It was missing its wings, meaning it was probably going to settle down and start a colony soon, but this wasn't to be, as it was now on the top of this web. The spider then tugged on the web, sending out some pulse waves up to the top, and from that, from the rebound off that, it can work out roughly how far away it is and roughly what size it is, and from that it can decide whether it's going to do anything about it. In this instance, rather happily, the spider shot it around behind, now racing down to catch up with it. The ant's still falling a little bit, it's just going beyond the halfway point now. And this is it, this is where it gets properly stuck, where the radials of the web become much tighter. Now the spider's actually already got one prey item in this, and to make sure it does end up with a meal, it actually attends to that one first to make sure it certainly got something. And once that's dealt with, which is what it's doing now, it's about to jump down any second now. Yep, there we go. It's now wrapping up the legs of the ant, which is frantically trying to get away. Now the ant's actually strong enough to break the web, so from now on it's a race between the ant breaking the web and the spider adding more on. And if the spider wins, it gets a meal. If the ant wins, it gets to go on and make a colony. Now the goal of the spider now is to lock up all the ant's limbs. Now being an insect, it's got 6 limbs. Each one of them is tipped with a hook. Well, a couple of hooks for climbing. And ants are pretty powerful. They're from the family Formycidae, which is in reference to the formic acid they can produce in the mouth. Now if the ant was, for example, if these two animals were in a bucket outside of a web, the spider's zone, I'm pretty confident the ants would easily incapacitate the spider. But it's in a web, this is the spider's territory, and it's got all the advantages. It's got the high ground, it's got meters and meters and meters of web sheeting it can use, and you can see at this point it's now managed to lock up pretty much all of the limbs. The ant has just attempted to use its abdomen to free itself. The spider's grabbed that as well. It waited for the abdomen to come to it. It hasn't gone beneath the spider's head, the ant's head. It's staying above it the whole time. And you can see now the ant is well and truly wrapped up, and the spider is using its 4th pair of legs, which are a bit longer than much longer than the 3rd pair, but a bit longer than the 2nd pair, and it's just sheeting it out. It's wrapping it on the web, and then it's putting a sheet of webbing over the leg, and then just wrapping it around, just like wrapping a parcel. And the more layers it puts on, the stronger it becomes, and the harder it is for the ant to get out. As you can see, at no point does it, until much later on in this footage, at no point, there you go, it's now gone beneath it. Yep, and it's now just completely wrapping it up. This ant is almost completely covered in web. As you can see, it's chopped away a lot of the spider has chopped away a lot of the surrounding web. That's to create mobility and space for it to move. And it's slowing down now, it's just reinforcing the 2 lines that are holding the ant. I don't believe at this point it's bitten it. Orb weavers have 4 strategies for dealing with prey in a web, depending on the prey. Now, because ants are so ferocious, it seems a bit silly bearing in mind they're tiny to us, but ants really are ferocious. And so it's using a technique called wrap bite, which is a savvy name, I'm sure you agree. And basically it's going to completely cover it, and when it's due, when it's completely incapacitated, when it's totally bound up, only then will it bite, because if you think about it, its main weapons are its fangs, which are by its face, so it's got to get pretty personal to use them. It's not like a scorpion, which has got its sting on a nice tail, just plugging away straight in there. This has actually got to commit quite a lot of its body frame into getting close to a dangerous animal, which is bigger than itself. So it won't bite until it's completely covered the ant. Now when it does bite, and it's about to, in fact I believe it's done it here, when it does bite it's going to inject several different types of toxin. And now orb weavers, certainly, I'm not sure about other spiders, but orb weavers have a cocktail of toxins, so basically anything that falls in the web it's got a good chance of being able to deal with. It's got neurotoxins, cytotoxins, hemotoxins. Snakes, for example, normally only have 1 type. As well as all those toxins, it's going to inject quite a lot of digestive enzymes, and they will start breaking down all the inside matter of the ant, leaving the shell pretty much almost completely intact. It will then leave it for a few hours, possibly even days, in fact, 'cause it's such a big animal, when it'll come back to it, and it'll start sucking out all the insides, turning it into effectively tinned soup. It takes liquid food because that removes the possibility of ingesting any sort of parasites. Scorpions and harvestmen, for example, can get parasitic grubs inside them from eating solid food. Spider hasn't got a problem because everything's liquid. Yeah, it's a really, really lucky bit of footage that. It's not often captured. We let this spider go because it was jolly good entertainment, and I've learned a lot. I mean, I've read about this before, and seeing it in action was great, so I'm very happy.